under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting to order and ask the clerk for the roll.
Manager Davis.
Present.
Wade.
Here.
Cosentopoulos.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Elkins.
Present.
And Graham is out.
It appears we have a quorum. Moving on to item number 5, consider the final settlement of accounts for previous Treasurer Madden. County Attorney Elkins, I know the statute doesn't really give any guidance that I could see. Do you have any advice as to how we should proceed?
Good morning, Judge.
Good morning.
Well, you know, I looked not just across Kentucky law, but across various writings on this subject nationally. And I think it comes down to this. If you look at Chapter 68030, every month this court approves financial settlements offered by its treasurer and has done so for at least 18 months that I've been sitting on it. I think you have to consider Treasurer Madden's books settled by reason of a majority vote in this court as of March 8th. I think that was the day that you took your vote, 2020. And Treasurer Champ's book settled. Are both of them on the agenda?
Yeah, they're two separate items.
I'll wind up saying the same thing in her case. The only question is what's to be made of the books from that day forward. And my recommendation would be that without making any official settlement of those books at this point in time, that you just let them be settled by the relative audit whenever it occurs. So
Okay.
should the audit, maybe it won't be done for 2 or 3 years, but when it's finally done and the auditor offers a report, I think that one time you can consider the matter closed.
So does this just need to be noted in the minutes, or do we need to take some sort of vote?
Well, I think you've already voted that you've
Okay.
accepted their reports up to some point in time. That's not to suggest that everybody was in agreement, but by law, the quorum carries the day, so.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 6.
Judge, I got a question on that. Was the Treasurer Madden ever given the opportunity to settle his books?
I believe the county attorney just said the books were settled as of March 8th.
That's not what I asked.
That was from memory, so I don't know what day it was that you actually voted on, but it seems like you were signed the report.
I had requested in a previous meeting that the Treasurer Madden be given the opportunity to settle his books and was told that he would, but I'm asking did that happen?
No, I don't believe so. Item number 6, consider approval of an order for the final financial settlements contained within the fourth quarter reports presented by the previous acting treasurer, and that be Treasurer Champ. You want to say that again?
Sure. I think essentially, by reason of the statute, this court's required to consider and approve or require the amendment of financial reports on a monthly and quarterly basis. For that matter, many of these reports have been sent to the Department of Local Government. As far as I know, there's been no written letters of reprimand or any written disagreements from the Department of Local Government. I think these reports, whoever made them, including Treasurer Champs, were last approved by their last majority vote. So in this particular case, I don't want to name the date, but whatever the last settlement was made and approved.
Okay, do we need to do anything for the days between that last settlement and the 15th when she left office?
So I think the practice there, instead of trying to make some, judgment about it today, would be just let that be settled by a future audit. If they find some issue, you can take it up at that point, but let's hope that's not the case.
Okay.
Can I ask a question then, just for clarification, for each Treasurer Madden and Treasurer Champ? As we accepted the monthly treasurer's reports given to the court, and we voted to approve those reports or accepted them, is that what we're saying? We're settling the books up until the point that there's an audit done, and then we vote to approve that audit, then it's a final settlement. Is that how I understand that?
No, I think unless you raise an exception or require some amendment, you're accepting it as presented at the time.
Okay, so in other words, when we accepted the February treasurer's report in March, then we were basically, at least on our part, settling Treasurer Madden's, report. And then when we accept the last report that Treasurer Champ worked on, which will be the July report, we'll accept it in August. That is basically, as far as the court's concerned, settling her account up until the point there's an audit, and we accept that audit, then it's final settle. That,
Well, except for the timing that as you suggested, I think that Treasurer Champ has offered her last report. I don't think there'll be one beyond the one that you've already seen.
That being the June report, closed out the fiscal
okay,
year.
Understand, but it's the same concept, just I have no months, incorrect. We accept the Treasurer Champ's report in July for June.
Correct.
Okay, I understand, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to item 7, consider approval of an order to name an acting county treasurer. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second for discussion.
Okay. Would you like to discuss?
Do we need to add in there the salary for the acting treasurer and their judge? I didn't notice there were one in the order.
Yeah, that was set by the court at the last one, so I figured I'd leave that open for the court to set again this time.
Okay.
Do you have a number?
I would recommend that we set it at what it was existing at the 70,000.
Okay.
So, as long as she's interim, she ought to be compensated for that.
Okay, I will, well, I'll take that as a amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
This is only for the interim.
Correct.
treasurer position, correct?
Mhm.
Which, anyone, including Ms. Wills, has the opportunity to apply for the permanent, which we are currently seeking applications for now.
That is correct.
Thank you.
And if my memory serves me, that's Magistrate Blanton, yourself, and Judge
Correct.
Pace, correct?
Mhm.
That is correct.
Any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Is this just the amendment, Judge?
Yes. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Now back to discussion on the original order. Any further discussion?
There's another order in our packet. Are we skipping over that? Are we doing away with that? Does it no longer exist?
Well, let me see what you're talking
I'm talking about in regards to Shay.
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Are we doing
covered.
away with that order?
about. Oh, I guess I should ask County Attorney Elkins on that. Do we need an order to settle Treasurer Champ?
Well, I think for record keeping, it's, and I didn't, I'll tell you what, you all are currently working on the treasurer's appointment, is that correct? Give me just a minute to reread this, I'll
Okay.
give you something to say.
We'll continue on the treasurer. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Didn't give you too much time there, William.
Yeah, so, I think, with respect to, this order, it seems to capture what it is that I suggested. It essentially approves her accounting through June 30th, and it leaves open for another day, what might become the July 15th, from then to July 15th.
Okay.
It would seem that in both instances, it would be an appropriate order, one with Jerry and one with Shay.
Okay. So we should take action on it then?
Of course, I recognize there's only one in the packet, but
Mhm.
I would recommend you taking a vote on both issues.
Okay.
So we can do another order and have the same information that they're, okay.
Essentially, that would say, it would use Treasurer Madden's name in the places where Treasurer Champ's name appears. That wouldn't necessarily contain the resignation language, but it would indicate that his books were settled through, if this is not the correct date, if somebody believes there's a different date, through that March 8th report, I think that was David signed on, and leave, the matter to a future audit whether or not there's any issue between, from then on.
Judge, I'll offer that motion that we have the county attorney do an order and approve that order using the information on the next, in accordance with the next order that we are going to be approving. Is that
Okay, are you speaking of an order for Treasurer Madden?
Treasurer Madden? Yes.
Okay, a motion has been made that the county attorney prepare an order regarding item number 5, considering the final settlement of accounts for previous Treasurer Madden. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion.
I thought county attorney said we didn't need to do an order because we approved each report on its face value. So I'm,
Well, the statute requires that the judge executive call a special meeting for the purposes of deciding what to do with the final settlement of an outgoing treasurer's books. So you could decide here without formal action if you wanted to do nothing, or you could determine, that you wanted to enter an order reflecting that the books are settled up to that point in time, and leaving for another day whether or not any audit captures something beyond March the 8th.
I must have misunderstood what you said first time, because I thought you said by approving each report, it was approved in total and we didn't need to do an order, so, okay.
I think all this is saying that same thing, just putting an order, or just putting it on record, is the way I take it.
Any further discussion?
So what are we using to settle his books? Because there is no treasurer settlement.
He tendered a report, I think it was dated March the 8th, he and the judge executive signed it and it was presented to this
That
board.
would be through the end of February, but he went through the middle of March.
Well, I think that was his last day was at or about that time.
There was also some computers and stuff like that seized and some evidence that was supposed to be brought forth in regards to his books. Is that information available? Has that ever come to light?
Well, the prosecutorial responsibility of the county attorney's office are not public, they're not subject to open records. I'm not trying to cut that off, I'm just suggesting that whether or not some investigation eventually proceeds from that, and I'm doubtful of that, just to keep you informed. That's a issue for, it's a state issue, it's not a county issue.
Personally, I'm not comfortable settling his books because we don't have any information in front of us to do so. So, and the end of February, excuse me, the end of February doesn't get him to where he left. So I don't know how we can use that report to settle him. And
Any further discussion?
I don't think we took a vote on that either. I think we just accept them into the minutes. I don't think we ever voted on settling anything with that report personally.
I think it was just accepted.
Yeah, I mean, we never took a vote on that.
Well, the statute says that each settlement made by the county treasurer shall be approved by the fiscal court in open court, and shall go to the fiscal court, be recorded by the county clerk, in a book kept for that purpose. I assume these orders are being presented, no exception taken, and that they're being reported somewhere.
I know they're reported to the DLG.
And the report, I think in the minutes are reported as accepted in the minutes, because at that time you can bring up any issues or choose not to accept it, if I'm not mistaken.
We certainly have had discussion of treasurer's reports, there's no doubt about that.
Every month.
Any further discussion?
One question, I guess, before we vote. So the outcome is basically the same whether we vote on this order or not, if I understand correctly. This order is just written record to be kept for future, I guess, in case anybody wants to look back and see what we did. Is that how
As I see it, it's responsive to the judge executive's statutory obligation to call a meeting for the purposes of settling outgoing treasury books. So it presents in the record some written determination or decision on this fiscal court's wrapping it all up, tying up the loose ends where those books are concerned. In this particular case, it would seem difficult to do beyond the last day that either of these treasurers offered a report. So for Jerry Madden, I think that was February 29th, and for Shay Champ, I think that was June 30th.
A couple questions, Judge.
Sure.
So just to clarify, County Attorney Elkins, there's no obligation on
the part of the, and I mean, there's no statutory obligation on the part of the court at this point to audit the treasurer's report or the final report, as the case may be. That whatever we do, in other words, is subject to the auditor's review in the months or maybe years to come, right?
Well, I don't think there's any question each of these reports will be audited in subsequent years, although I think there's at least a couple of year lag, so it's not going to be immediate.
Magistrate Davis, just to give you an idea, I've got the statute right here in front of me. It says, shall proceed in the manner it deems proper. And that's referencing what we're doing here today. So that's about as vague as you get in statutory language.
It's almost perfunctory. Okay.
Any further discussion?
So we voting on one or two?
I believe he made a motion in regards to Treasurer Madden,
And
correct?
then we'll follow up and do it in two separate.
Okay.
I have a question for the county attorney. Mr. Elkins, not having this order in front of me, looking at the other order that we're going to vote on, there's some language in there that says, whereas a certain report appears to be in proper order and appropriate for approval and submission. Is Mr. Madden's order going to have the same language in it?
How about we do this? 'Cause I think that's a very good point. How about we do this? How about I prepare the order and you put it on your agenda for final approval?
That would tickle me to death.
It's fine with me. Do you withdraw your motion for now, or would you like to suspend it?
I'll withdraw my motion until next meeting.
My apologies.
Okay. So, in regards to item number 6, the order for the final settlement contained within fourth quarter reports presented by previous acting county treasurer Champ.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Again, middle way through this document, it says, whereas the fourth quarter report appears to be in proper order and appropriate for approval and submission to the permanent records of the Clark Fiscal Court. I would strongly disagree that it's in proper order and appropriate for approval and submission, because there are a number of errors in it that we need to deal with. So I'm not comfortable with this order in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries.
It's just the way Ms. Mullin name. Okay, thank you.
See. All right. I just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. About 19 after.
What's that?
About 19 after.